स्पॉटलाइट में आपका स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट अमीता। Join me weekly as I talk to inspiring guests who will share their success stories. Our guest today is a multi-talented performing artist, teacher, and creative director. She'll be seen in the upcoming musical theatrical production of the hit film Monsoon Wedding, directed by critically acclaimed director Meera Nair, which will have its world premiere at the Berkeley Rep Theatre in California, with a Broadway run to follow. It's my pleasure to welcome to our show Miss Krystal Kiran. Krystal, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting that you're part of an amazing project that's upcoming, but you're way beyond that. You do so many inspirational things. So let's start off with telling our viewers a little bit about your growing up.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Canada. I mean, 100% like Punjabi, but born and raised in Canada in BC in a small town called Penticton, and probably a population of like 30,000 people. So my family moved there in the 70s, and so my mom thought it would be really sweet because she always wanted to dance when she was younger, but didn't get the opportunity to. She put me in ballet classes when I was 3 years old. Wow. And that's kind of what kick-started my, introduction to dance and performing. And I did it all throughout my youth and all throughout high school. And towards the end of high school, when it came to the time, to choose, if I was going to go to university, I had already gotten the bug. I'd gotten the bug for performing, and I was so inspired by Bollywood films and, stuff that I watched on TV growing up, and, pop stars like Janet Jackson and stuff like that. So, I had to have that difficult conversation with my parents and say, yeah, I want to be a performer. They were like, well, how are you going to do that? So it took a little bit of convincing, but they came around, and, and that was kind of where it all began.
Love it. Yeah. I love the point that you brought up, that as long as you communicate what you want, I guess, even with South Asian expectations, you're not just South Asian, but you're also a woman. So there are certain expectations, and a lot of people fear to voice what they really want in life to the parents. Yeah. But you're a shining example. Like, if you communicate, they will eventually come around if they're not agreeable with it initially.
For sure. And I mean, I'm also like, I have to acknowledge the fact that I'm also very lucky. Like, my parents are very supportive people, and they were supportive initially, and but I know that that's not the norm in our culture, and but like I said, it did take a bit of convincing, in the sense, like, I had to show them that I was thinking about it in a very strategic way, and that I had planned, this is where I wanted to go to school, and this is the route that I wanted to take. And we never know exactly what's going to happen. We can't predict the future, but I think they saw, because I was serious about it, they were like, okay, well, my mom said, I'll give you 2 years. If you don't, do anything within that time, then you're going to university and becoming a teacher.
So but that's awesome. Like, they supported you, and they gave you the benefit of doubt.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
And again, just bringing back to the fact that you told us strategic planning. Yeah. It's like you explored all the options, and then knew you wanted to be a performing artist. Yeah. And then you communicated through to your parents, persevered, and you're here now with an amazing portfolio.
Thank you.
So to start off, I mean, there's so many you have under your belt, but to start off, you have been part of incredible musical theatrical productions, including the original cast for Bombay Dreams on Broadway in New York City.
Everywhere is anywhere, and anything you should know.
And the world premiere of Lord of the Rings in Toronto. Wow.
It was
how?
Yeah, that was. I got spoiled early on. I was my first professional job really was on Broadway. So it was like, I think I was 18 or 19 when I got that job, and coming from a small town, and being on that kind of a platform and stage, it was like a lot of like pressure, and being in the city alone, like a city like that alone was a lot, but it was the most incredible experience. And I yeah, I really can't, say enough about that. And it was the first time that I had the opportunity to work with A.R. Rahman sir, because he did the music
Wow.
for
Yes,
Bombay
yeah.
Dreams and Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So that was kind of what started, that
The
professional
association.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I mean, it's your talent, your perseverance, and we know the Oscar and Grammy Award-winning composer A.R. Rahman. He is truly incredible, and so if he picks you as one of the lead vocalists for his world tour, Jai Ho, there's truly something incredible in you.
It was honestly such a dream come true, because I remember the first time I heard his music. We drove to Vancouver, which was about a 4-hour drive from my hometown, to see Bombay. And I remember, I think it was actually the first Hindi film that I saw in the theater, in the cinema. And my dad bought the tape afterwards, and we were listening to it on the way back to our hometown. And just like the music, I mean, that story was all like so moving, but the music. And I remember, turning the tape around, the cassette where it says who the composer was. And I had never asked those kinds of questions before, but I wanted to know who made this music, and it was A.R. Rahman. And ever since, it's such a vivid memory. And so ever since then, it was my dream. It was my dream to one day work with him. And so to get the opportunity, to tour with him in the way that I did, and, that was such a surreal experience. And he's such a kind soul and such a genius, and so inspiring to be around. So yeah, that was a very special time.
Well, it was meant to be. Did A.R. Rahman sir know that this young girl was listening to the music of Bombay and then will be now touring with his production? Krystal, you dreamt, you worked hard, you persevered, and you achieved your dreams. And it's not just one dream, and that's where we are going next with about the Monsoon Wedding production that's upcoming. So we want to find out more about that exciting project.
Yes.
But before that, it's time for a short break. Spotlight में फिर से आपका स्वागत है. We are talking to Miss Krystal Kiran. She is the recipient of the honorary graduate diploma from the Randolph Academy for Performing Arts, and she's a scholarship alumna at the BAM Center. And now she's here to talk about the exciting project that's upcoming. So, Krystal, tell us about Monsoon Wedding, the musical production.
Yeah, so it's based on the film. And I mean, I remember when I watched that film, and it was just like, so beautiful on so many different levels, and something I feel like, we can all relate to.
Oh yeah, I'm getting goosebumps just remembering the movie. So
yeah,
well done.
it's such a poignant, beautiful film. And so, yeah, I heard about the production, that it was in the works a few years ago. And, things take time, right? So I actually initially auditioned for it over 2 years ago. And I got the offer not until just this past fall. So sometimes, like when it comes to auditioning for things, or, striving for things, you never know what's happening in the universe. You think, like a door has closed or something, and then all of a sudden, you get a knock, and there it is. And so,
Well said,
so that's kind of, that was kind of my journey with the show in terms of getting the show. And I'm so excited to work with Mira Nair. And
She's such an amazing director with
Yeah.
all the work that we have of hers, on screens.
she's
So-
really like a living legend. I feel that way towards her, and I'm so excited to, get to learn from her, and essentially to collaborate with her in bringing my character to life.
What was it like working with all the other cast members?
Well, we actually start rehearsals on Monday in New York, so we haven't even
Wow.
started. Yeah,
Wow. Look at this. 2 years ago, it was already written as though in destiny that you
Yeah.
were going to be part of this production. And there you are going to start rehearsals soon.
Yeah, we start rehearsals on Monday, and so we rehearse for 2 weeks in New York, in Times Square on Broadway, which is so exciting. And then we head out for about 3 months to California. And the show's going to be out there until July 9th at Berkeley Rep Theater, so just outside of San Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where can we get more information? I mean, I guess we can fly down there. Locals can,
Yeah.
get tickets. But
Yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, Berkeley Rep Theater, so in Berkeley, California, and so that's where the show's going to be playing. And the plan is for it to come to Broadway afterwards. So we're just waiting for the dates to get confirmed, and maybe it'll come to Toronto. I feel like there's a huge.
It will come to
It will.
It will.
Because there's such a great community here, and I think people would come out and see it. And
and it already has a good reputation from the film itself, so people know what the storyline is. It is such a beautiful story, and it's so different when it is live theater, and with all the live music and
absolutely, and there's amazing actors too from India that are coming to be a part of it.
Oh, wow.
So Javed Jaffrey is playing the role of the father, and he's such a an amazing talent. So it's going to be exciting, and there's also a couple of other actors also coming from India as well. So there's going to be kind of like it's going to be a fun energy on stage for sure, and hopefully bring that wedding feeling to life in the theater.
Yeah, that is what's so great about watching it in a theater setting. So you've seen it on screen, and now we have the opportunity to watch it in theater. And mark my words, I'm sure it's going to come to Toronto, like you said. Yes. So that's Monsoon Wedding. That is the exciting project that's upcoming for you. Rehearsal starting soon, and we'll be seeing it in the theater, musical production theater shortly. But beyond that, you also have something of your own. So these are projects that you're part of where somebody else has organized it, directed it. Yeah. But you have a whole new project of your own called the House of Kiran. Yes. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So House of Kiran is essentially it's basically like an umbrella company. So because I teach, I produce my own work, I direct sometimes, I choreograph. So it's kind of like an all-encompassing thing where I can kind of do my own creative thing, because I think we have to constantly, as professional artists, have to balance the commercial side of when people hire us to do things, and then also, the artist side of us create our own work and use our own voice, and So I'm constantly juggling the two, and I actually just taught in India for the first time in Mumbai. I taught a musical theater intensive, and it was so amazing to work with the students there because they're so focused and dedicated and hungry to learn. And so it's definitely there's little projects here that I do, whenever I can. My wheels are always turning. So,
that is great, and actually that's the trait of a true artist, I think. Somebody who is always looking for chances to create, not just falling into a 9-to-5 kind of job. Okay, there's a project, go do it, get paid.
Exactly.
You're constantly looking for ways to create.
We need to, or else I think we forget why we're doing what we do. I know that's happened for me, where I've I've questioned, I'm why am I doing this? And then it's oh, no, you have to go back to the thing that fuels your soul and then bring that out. And, so I think it's really very important to find the balance between the two.
Very well said. And once you start doing that, fuel that passion, create, then you not only create that change within yourself, but also create a change for the community. Because I know House of Kiran is part of projects that are for causes as well. I know about the short film, and we want the viewers to learn more about it as well. A beautiful piece that you've put out,
Thank you.
The Beauty's Doom. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's basically a piece that was done in the memory of a young lady in Vancouver who was tragically murdered. She was only 19 years old, and her name was Maple Battaglia. And I was really just moved by her story. She was, a young, up-and-coming actress, model. She wanted to be a doctor, and she was just so loved, by her family and her friends, and just a really, talented young woman. And so the film takes her artwork and basically is essentially a tribute to her through song and original dance and stuff like that. So it was kind of a tribute piece to her memory. And we set up actually a bursary at Emily Carr in Vancouver to support young young South Asian women who are supporting the arts, or sorry, pursuing the arts as a career. So, so that's kind of what that whole venture was and what that film was for. Yeah.
Well, I must say it's very well done. You should go check it out. It's on YouTube.
It is, yeah.
The Beauty's Doom, a very well done piece, so moving, with the Kathak, the contemporary, mix in there, conveying the message, really moving. And thank you for doing projects like that, because we need to let viewers know that performing arts can be used for causes.
Yeah, it's
wonderful causes like this.
They can heal, and I think that's a really big part of why I chose this path. Actually, when I was younger, I had a really bad stutter. I stuttered really badly when I was speaking. And the speech therapist told my mom, she should take singing lessons, take voice lessons. And so that's why I got really into singing. So, that was a healing. It was like, the purpose was so I could speak fluidly, but it ended up having, other opportunities attached to it. But, the healing art, the performing arts do heal. And I think that's an important thing to remember.
Very well said. Well, we are lucky that you followed that path, followed your heart, and you're doing amazing projects. And that's also inspiring us South Asians that we can do work in the mainstream.
Yeah.
So I want to touch upon that topic. But before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the multi-talented Krystal Kiran. So Krystal, it's incredible, as a South Asian coming from a small community in BC, you're making waves, on the performing arts scene. A lot of the viewers who might be struggling artists, get disheartened. South Asians don't get any roles here in mainstream, but you are defying all that. You have already told us about many projects that you have been part of that are mainstream. You are going to star in the upcoming musical production Monsoon Wedding. You've also done many TV projects, including being choreographer for Suicide Squad, cast member of Minority Report TV series, and also being a guest star in the upcoming Private Eyes on Global. Wow. So what can you tell our viewers? It's not true. South Asians can do well in the mainstream.
Definitely. It definitely requires two things. Well, several things, but two major things is you have to be persistent, but you also have to be patient, right? And that's kind of like a weird combination, because it's like, how can you be persistent but then also be patient? Persisting in terms of doing the work, in terms of working on your craft, doing the training, getting as much exposure and experience as you can, working with all kinds of people, and always kind of having that student mentality. I feel like that served me really well, just always wanting to learn and not ever thinking that I'm an expert in anything, because I don't actually feel like I'm an expert in anything. But having that kind of student mentality definitely helps. And then, things are slowly shifting in the mainstream. Yes, it's true that a lot of the roles as South Asians that we see are very stereotypical, or, they're not it's like, why would I want to play that role? It's just, but the thing is that things are slowly starting to shift. And every once in a while, amazing projects come up, amazing opportunities come up. And that's why it's important to continue being persistent and doing the work on your craft. Because when those things do come up, you want to be ready for them, right?
Well,
so that's kind of where, I've been doing this now professionally for, I guess, about 12 years. And it's been so up and down all the time. And it's, I know from the outside it looks like, okay, it's wow, very consistent, but it hasn't always been like that. And, and you also, as an actor, your life experience lends so much to your work on your characters, to your characters that you're going to play. So it's important to experience life and have a full life of other things, like with your family and your friends and, hobbies and stuff like that, because you're going to bring that to your work. So, so it's a very holistic, I see it as a very holistic I approach it holistically. And I think that allows me to kind of like ease any anxieties, because there's so much uncertainty in this business, and there's a lot of rejection, you know. For every 100 auditions you go to, you might book one. So it's like, you kind of just have to know that it's not a personal thing. It's not because, you know, you're bad or anything. It's because they're looking for something specific, and, you know, you're not that thing. So it, you know, it takes thick skin, but as artists we can be sensitive, right? So it's kind of learning that balance of like when to like know, okay, it's not a personal thing, and you just keep moving on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said to keep your student mentality. And you learn a lot, like you just, you know, whether it be in professional training or just like you said, it may not be what you're eventually aiming for, but there's a lot to learn even at the beginning stage, right?
Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, even like in my career, I've done so many different things, like, you know, as an actor, as a singer, as a dancer, as a choreographer, as a director, as a producer, there's all these different pieces, right? And so if I had focused solely on one thing and said I was just gonna do that one thing, I wouldn't have done all the other stuff. And so I think it's important to like lead with an open heart, you know, and just to be open to, you know, but then also know, like, if something really doesn't feel right, then, you know, your heart will tell you that. But I think it's, it's important to have an open heart and, you know, to keep that student mentality intact.
Very well said. And I guess your holistic approach helps with that. Because when you have a holistic approach, you're in tune with your heart. And then when you're exploring the multiple dimensions that you do, your heart will tell you if it is the right way of going. But if you do not have a holistic approach, maybe you do fall into bad company. And
exactly. And also there's, like, for me, one of the big things that I've, you know, come up against personally is like perfectionism. So it's like, you know, we feel like we need to be perfect at this one thing, and like perfection doesn't exist.
We're all guilty of that.
And so we need to take that pressure off of ourselves, and like we're all human beings, we're all learning, we're all doing the best we can, and I think it's important to take that into our work as well, because or else you end up shooting yourself in the foot by, you know, being like, you know, too, you know,
so uptight or uptight, and then like you said, unless you put it out there and persevere and be patient, then, you know, you miss out on the opportunities. They do come to you, but you just have to be on the lookout. If you have to be on the lookout, you have to be open, listen to your heart. So holistic, less uptight, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Wow, Krystal, such an inspiration, amazing work you are doing, amazing projects coming up. There's so much to talk about, so little time.
We can talk for hours.
Yeah, she's truly giving me amazing positive vibes. So much to talk about, so little time, like I said. Is there a website, social media page that we can find you on?
Yeah. You can find me at krystalkiran.com or at Krystal Kiran, just on social media.
There you go.
With a K, Krystal with a K.
Krystal with a K.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Krystal, for talking to us.
Thank you.
And all the best with the upcoming rehearsals for Monsoon Wedding and with all the projects that are upcoming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. तो ये थे मिस क्रिस्टल किरण, जिन्होंने हमें एहसास दिलाया है कि achieving your dreams is possible if you persevere and if you're patient. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you for watching us. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates, and write to us at spotlight@ethnicchannels.com. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off, encouraging you to follow your passions towards your own spotlight.